Hey guys, today I want to try something completely different. For me, different anyway. I wanted to do a tier ranking video. I've never done one. I actually had to figure out how to do it. It's been an interesting process, but I think I got it. And I don't want to do just another tier ranking video. I wanted to put a different twist on it for my first one. So it's going to be, of course, about books. It's going to be about science fiction books, but it's going to be about tropes. So I've listed some of my favorite tropes. I think I have maybe 16 of them, and I wanted to rank them because, of course, I like some of them more than others. So let's talk about it. Of course, some of these tropes, motifs, are not just science fiction domain. For example, found family is a trope that I really enjoy, but that can be found in just about every single genre, I think. Fantasy, for example, with Hobbit, utilizes that very, very successfully, right? Harry Potter is another one. But let's just get right into it. But first of all, like, what is a trope, right? So trope is a literary device that authors use, and it's been used so many times that readers immediately connect with it. They recognize it, right? So there are motifs, there are characters, images, different settings could be tropes, and science fiction has a lot of really good ones. I think science fiction really excels with some of these tropes. So let's not waste time. I mean, let's just get right into it. I am so excited. I think I'm going to be smiling through this whole freaking video. Let's start off with a bang. Let's start off with something really good. Let me make myself a little bit smaller here. You don't need me that big in your window. Time travel. Let's go for time travel here. And where's time travel gonna go? Well, I can tell you it's definitely gonna go high. I love time travel. I think it's one of my favorite tropes, and I'm gonna put it right in the S. Time travel is amazing because of the possibility that it opens up for a story. Possibilities in time travel are truly endless. There's so many amazing time travel books. I'll mention two. Like a month ago, I read H.G. Wells's Time Machine. I really enjoyed it. It's dated. I think it was written in 1895, so well over 100 years ago. It's the original time travel story. It was still good, but my favorite time travel book is 11/22/63 by Stephen King. It's one of my favorite Stephen King books overall. I've read quite a few of his books. I don't know, not all of them, but probably half of them, probably like 30, I would think. And 11/22/63 is amazing. The time travel is done really well, but the book goes way beyond that. The time travel aspect in that book is the underpinning of the story, but there's so much then added onto it. A love story that actually made me tear up. It's an amazing book. I really, really like that aspect. And time travel is definitely going to the top. So yep, S, that's where it's staying. I don't know if it's going to be the first one. I don't know if I'm going to rank them across also. Maybe. But time travel is definitely great. I'm curious how it would rank for you. Do you like time travel? Right off the bat, let me know what your favorite science fiction trope is, and what don't you like to read. That would be awesome if you could comment. So anyway, let's continue. So now let's go for something that I think will be lower down on the list. Let's go look at steampunk, for example. So here is a genre that is kind of a mix-up of old and new, Victorian sensibilities, technology, mixing often with new. So Time Machine, again, is a good example of steampunk, as is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Verne. I read that book so many years ago when I was a kid. I really liked it back then. I should reread it. I only read it once. Of course, Eversion, which I read recently, is also at times, not the whole book, but parts of that book are a good example of steampunk. I don't love it, honestly. I think this would probably, if I'm gonna put anything in D, I think that's it. So let's look at something maybe that will bring the average up a little bit. Let's go to the front maybe. Let's see clones. What can we say about clones? Clones are amazing, right? Who didn't love Jurassic Park? Well, I'm sure some people didn't love it. I read the book. I only watched, I think, the first movie. Maybe I should watch some of the follow-ups, but I feel like once you've seen one, you've seen them all. They just kind of up the ante. That's a good example of cloning, right? Brave New World is another one. Not too many people think of it as a science fiction book, but it definitely has cloning in it at a time where cloning was not possible. Natural birth has been gotten rid of, and cloning is the way humans come to be. But my favorite book about science fiction book that utilizes clones and the trope is definitely House of Suns by Alistair Reynolds. What an amazing book with thousands of shudderlings, both male and female, scouring the galaxy, and the adventure and the story. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So yeah, clones are gonna go into, are they A or are they B? I'm not sure, either A or B. I'd have to think about it. I do like all the books that I've mentioned. I think I'm going to leave it at B for now. I may move it. I'm doing this on the fly. It's not like I didn't do a dry run at all. So, it's a little scary, but hopefully it'll go well. Let's continue. How about we go for First Contact? The big one, right? First Contact may be the most often used trope in all of SF. Who hasn't wondered whether we're alone in the universe? Is there anybody out there? I mean, there's so many amazing books written that revolve around the First Contact motif. Amazing books. For me, the only question is it up here or is it up here? I don't know for sure, but yeah, First Contact is, how come it doesn't want to jump? All right, I guess it's here then. Can I go? Okay, that's how it works. I'm learning. Anyway, First Contact, amazing stuff. I mean, as we're finding out more about our universe, James Webb Telescope is helping with that, right? It's scrambling some established theories like Big Bang. Who knows? Big Bang is in question right now with some of the discoveries by James Webb. So I feel maybe if we're lucky in my or your lifetime, we'll have the answer to that question, whether we're alone in the universe. For me, there is no question at all. How could we be alone? There's so much out there. I mean, the universe is so vast. So yeah, and First Contact, Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. Amazing book. I really loved it. It really blew my mind when the reveal and who these aliens are. And then the ending, controversial, but I liked it quite a bit. There's so many great books that delve deep into First Contact. Obviously, Contact by Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan is a hero of mine, an amazing person overall who's done so much to promote science. And Contact, both the book but also the movie, I enjoyed. I've watched it a few times. It's fun. So yeah, Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary is a standout. There's just so many amazing First Contact books. So yeah, let's keep going. First Contact. Oof, it's gonna be tough to beat First Contact. Let's go for Big Dumb Object now. That's a good one as well. There are some good books. The one that comes to my mind, of course, is 2001 Space Odyssey, but it's not by Arthur C. Clarke. That's a good one, but it's not my favorite. My favorite one would be Rendezvous with Rama. Guess what? Also by Arthur C. Clarke. And as you may or may not know, a movie is coming out. I read that book so many years ago. I definitely should read it again. I think I read it in the 90s. So it's been more than 20 years since I've read Rendezvous with Rama and the follow-ups. I didn't like the follow-ups nearly as much, but the first book was really good, sparked my interest. Big Dumb Object, there are some good books, but it's not my favorite genre. I wouldn't pick up a book just because a big dumb object appears in it, although the mystery of it, what is it, who created it, is appealing to me, but not in the same way as a First Contact per se. Of course, Big Dumb Object may quickly lead to a First Contact, so I'm just gonna grab it, and I think it's gonna go into C. It's better than Steampunk, but not better than Clones. So I think it fits very nicely in C. There's some good books with Big Dumb Object, just not one of my favorites. So yeah, and I forgot when I was talking about First Contact, I didn't mention Cixin Liu's trilogy, of course, with incredible First Contact there in the Three-Body Problem, The Dark Forest, and I almost said Childhood's End, Death's End. So yeah, that's the First Contact. I keep coming back to that one because it's probably my favorite. All right, I'm looking around. I'm looking at you, dystopian future. There's so much of it. Our dystopian future is popular, I guess. It's something that sells well. So there are a lot of authors writing about dystopian future. And there are many books that deal with dystopian future. The Road, of course, some bleak stuff. I just recently read Station 11, which I enjoyed a lot. Very, I think, realistic look into short term, like in 20 years, how civilization would change after a collapse of it. I like books about dystopian future. Of course, 1984 is probably the most famous one, and Brave New World that I mentioned before, and Fahrenheit 451. The Stand is really a dystopian novel as well by Stephen King. It's one of my favorite books of his. So I definitely like just about every single dystopian book that I read, I liked. But when I think about dystopia, I want to say no, I don't want it. I'm tired of it. So I don't know where it goes. You would think I would love it because I loved just about every single book. I think it's going to go in the A category. Dystopian future, I think it's important for us to think about where the future is going. So I think it's an important trope within science fiction and even beyond sci-fi, because books like The Road They don't really feel in any way like sci-fi other than that trope. And oh yeah, another one that I like quite a bit, and there's some crossover between tropes. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, one of my all-time favorite books as well, and dystopian in its nature. So now let's just jump right into Cyberpunk, because it's so closely related to the dystopian future, right? They're really very close in some ways. Cyberpunk has a different feel to it. It's high tech, but the lives are low. High tech, low lives. That's kind of the best definition of cyberpunk. Dark, gritty, violent often. Again, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is a great example of it. One of my all-time favorites. Neuromancer is another one. Snow Crush. There are lots of good cyberpunk books. I would put it myself, if I can grab it, I would put it in the B category. I think I would put it in the B category. Not quite as high as Dystopian Future, but it's Cyberpunk is fun, but I think Dystopian Future is a little bit more serious look at where we're headed. And since we're in that genre, let's look at Solarpunk, right? I mean, Solarpunk is the exact opposite of Cyberpunk. Solarpunk is happy, it's sunshine, it's things are good. It's a positive look into our future. Look with a hopeful eye. So Becky Chambers and some of her books are the best examples for me. There are, of course, many others, but the ones that I've read, the Robot and Monk series, especially book 1, amazing Solarpunk vibes. So where's Solarpunk gonna go? I think it's gonna go right next to Cyberpunk, but I would actually put it in front of it, only because I think the positive outlook on the future is something that really appeals to me. And if you want to read a good example, Sound for the Wild Build by Becky Chambers is awesome. Awesome way to introduce yourself to the Solarpunk genre. Lost in Space, I'm on a roll, let's just keep going. Lost in Space doesn't really appeal to me. Of course, there are good examples of being lost out there somewhere where you're not on Earth, and Martian is an amazing book, a great movie also, but overall it's Lost in Space. It's not something necessarily that appeals to me. I can't think of too many other examples of it. I mean, you could stretch it, you could say in some books like Fire Up on the Deep, kids are lost, the parents are dead on a totally foreign planet with incredible alien life form, one of my all-time favorites, the Tynes, on a Tynes world. So there are examples of really good books with being kind of lost in space. And maybe now that I think about it, I would definitely put it in front of Steampunk, and maybe I would throw it up to C. I guess Lost in Space, there is something so scary about the vastness of space and the idea of being lost in it. So yeah, that's let's keep it up there, Lost in Space, because of Martian and because of Fire Up on the Deep. Two really good books. Martian is also, incidentally, a great, if you're not someone who has read a lot of science fiction, it's just a great introduction to sci-fi. So Faster Than Light Travel is a great trope as well, because it really allows for almost endless possibilities. When we have that in House of Suns, we have, for example, we have a chase scene that lasts like 20,000 years. Faster Than Light Travel is also employed in Alistair Reynolds' Fire Up on the Deep, which is perhaps one of my top 3 SF books of all time. So I would rank it pretty high in itself. It's not something that sparks my imagination quite the same way as Time Travel or First Contact would, but it's a solid trope. I'll put it right in the B category, and I'll put it between Solarpunk and Cyberpunk. Let's put a little buffer between those two, because it just doesn't look good to have Solarpunk right next to Cyberpunk. I think you would agree with that. Now let's talk about robots. Ooh, robots. I love robots. Who doesn't love robots? Well, you know, some people are afraid that robots are going to take over. Artificial intelligence is going to be the end of humanity. But when it comes to reading, robots are fun. The Murderbot series, fun. I was reading Isaac Asimov's I, Robot recently. There's some good stuff. And when it comes to robots, of course, like HAL in 2001 Odyssey. My Roomba is a robot. But when I think of robots, I think of androids, humanoid robots that have the shape of a human. So androids, when I'm thinking of robots, is really what's interesting to me. And where would I put robots? I think I would put them up here next to Dystopian Future, maybe ahead of Clones. I think ahead of Clones. I don't know. What do you think? Would you put robots ahead of clones? What are you seeing? Am I making a mistake somewhere here in your eyes? Would you say that, no, come on, Steampunk is my favorite? Let me know in the comments below, please. We're getting down to the home stretch. Let's talk about found family in that case. We talked a little bit about it in the beginning. Found family is such a popular trope. I think everyone can enjoy it. We can't choose our own family, but having great friends and a family that we can build come together is amazing fun. And there are lots of good books in many different genres. Here we talked about it being employed heavily in fantasy with Tolkien's works, but so many others, right? One of the standouts is Mistborn, for example, by Sanderson. And of course, if we're talking about found family within science fiction realm, books or otherwise, Star Wars really stands out. To me anyway. I was born in 1974. I watched my first Star Wars movie. I don't know how old I was, but it was in Poland, and it made such a huge effect on me. I was never the same, and my love for science fiction kind of, I think, stems from watching Star Wars. And yeah, so found family is a fantastic trope, and I'm gonna put it right up. Well, actually, I think I'm gonna put it here. It's not quite on the same level as First Contact and Time Travel, because those are science fiction specific tropes, and found family kind of crosses over. So I think it makes sense maybe to keep it right under, but I enjoy it a lot. So it's got to be high, and A, I think, makes sense to have it in the A. All right, I'm looking at generation ships. Generation ships are scary. We're talking about humanity in many cases is forced to escape from Earth. This is the case, for example, in Children of Time, which is also one of my favorite top 5, I think for sure, all-time science fiction books. And it employs, among other, but it employs that trope. So a planet is terraformed, and now humanity is on its way. And generation ship means these are usually huge ships on which humans live for many generations before they get to the planet. Typically, faster than light travel is not, in those stories, is not possible. So humans are gonna spend a lot of time on a ship like that, and crazy things happen. So yeah, Children of Time employs that to a certain extent. It's a great book, by the way. I love Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Where am I gonna put generation ships though? This is now interesting. I gotta think about it in comparing. I think I definitely like the idea of generation ships, maybe a little bit less than robots, clones. It's probably right around here somewhere. I think interesting things happen on those ships. I think it's fascinating, and I think it's gonna go there, but maybe right behind clones. I'm telling me to stand up. I'm okay. I'm gonna go to the gym soon. Yeah, so that's the generation ships in the B category. We only have 3 left. Let's get through them very quickly now. All right, let's talk about alternate universes, parallel universes, alternate timelines, different ways to call the kind of the same or slightly different actually ideas, but these tropes are fun. They're amazing. Haruki Murakami's 1Q84 is an example of an alternate parallel, perhaps, universe. Blake Crouch's book, oh my gosh, what is it? Dark Matter. That's a fun book as well, that takes place as the main protagonist is jumping from one alternate universe to another, trying to find his home, find his family. He's finding universes that are just like his, just like ours, but slightly different, slightly shifted. Interesting ideas. Alternate universes, it's a good trope, definitely solid. Is it in the A category? It's definitely not in the top tier. Is it in the A? Probably not. I would put it in the B. Maybe behind clones, but before generation ships. I think that's where its place is. And you can see, I mean, I like them a lot. So most of the tropes, most of the SF tropes are falling clearly into that B category. So, well, now let's talk about wormholes. Well, these incredible, theoretical, they're kind of like faster than light speed travel. They just add possibilities. And wormholes, there are these incredible objects, I suppose, places in the universe that connect distant points in the galaxy, or maybe between galaxies. who knows? My favorite book and movie actually when it comes to this, because it really blew my mind when Jodie Foster was going through a wormhole. Carl Sagan's Contact, the use of wormhole to transport. So I like that wormholes, just like faster than light travel, just add possibilities, add fun to any book. And we're gonna go, is it better? I don't know. It doesn't really matter, I guess. We'll just put it right there. But I don't know if I like it more than faster than light travel or less. It's cool either way. And now we're left with utopian future. Utopian future is somewhat problematic. It sounds like a good idea. The book that comes to my mind is again Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. So the book is in 3 parts, and in part 2, we're basically met with a utopian future after aliens have visited us and stayed with us, and as our protectors demanded from us peace on Earth and helped us. So it's post-scarcity environment they've created essentially. But I don't know if humans are happy in that utopian future where we don't really have to strive and do anything and everything is kind of given to us. It can be problematic for sure. But overall, again, just like Solarpunk, utopian future sounds good, but we do have to be careful when we talk about a utopian future that we don't lose our humanity, because I think a big part of what it is to be human, to be Homo sapiens specifically, is that drive to succeed. And once that is lost in a utopian future, post-scarcity where everything is abundant, I don't know how humans would react. But overall, hey, I like utopian future, but as a book, I think I would put it in the C category, honestly, and it's probably gonna go right back there after Big Dumb Object and Lost in Space. So this is my tier ranking, my first tier ranking. I did it. Oh my God, this is so exciting. I hope all of this is being recorded. I should have been checking. Anyway, leave a comment. Let me know if you enjoyed this. Let me know if I'm missing some tropes that maybe you like that's not even on this list, or do you agree with my ranking? Let's talk about it. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched till the end, big thumbs up for you.